in the age of the internet and the way that we all connect, if an idea is seen as a good one and it sort of catches people's excitement, then I think you really can have positive change quite quickly. So we're going to hope. So if anyone out there wants to give us lots of money to do it, then, get in touch.
Hello, Andrew Staples, and welcome to What's Opera Doc, the YouTube channel for professional opera singers. I'm very happy because you are the first one on this channel that is talking to us in English, so very welcome.
I apologize.
What for?
For not speaking German.
Oh, no, this channel was always intended to be international, and so very welcome. Before we talk about your ideas you have for the future of our business, maybe you just could briefly explain how is the situation now in the UK for musicians, especially for opera singers. What have you been doing during the last couple of months since COVID-19 entered all our lives? How is the general situation?
Well, the general situation in the UK is pretty tough at the minute because the funding model of subsidy in the UK means that we're what's called box office exposed. It really matters how much money the venue can take at the box office. So in Germany and France, maybe where you have a really big subsidy, it doesn't matter quite so much if you have a socially distanced audience and you only have, say, 30%. But in the UK, it really matters. So the minute there's not so many things going on. There are people being extremely creative and developing ways and putting in systems so that they can put on shows. But it has been a much smaller schedule. And so a lot of people not working. So I feel very lucky to be here, in Budapest with you doing concerts. So I was meant to be doing it in a Domino in Berlin. Just that we were sent home just before our dress rehearsal, and then I had a month off, maybe another month off, and then I ended up being very lucky to go to Sweden, where they never shut down, and we did a COVID-19 safe, no audience, filmed Don Giovanni, which I directed and sang in, and then I did some concerts in Cologne at the very end of their season, and then I've done nothing until today.
So, and what is the future? Will it be without audience, or what are your ideas about the future?
So since June, July time, I've been working on a campaign called the OneVoiceCampaign with a friend and colleague who's a musician in the UK, and we've been trying to work out what the actual problem that's facing the performing arts in the UK. Because for sure it's not just the health crisis that has made things as tough as they are. There's been a certain amount of underfunding and maybe different business models that have happened that have exposed the art scene in the UK to the trouble it's now facing and will face for a while, even when this goes away. But so in the first instance, what we need to do is get our performance happening again, because that's the only way that people get paid. It's the only way that money gets sort of up and down the value chain. So it's like all the restaurants that are benefiting from an opera house or a theatre or a comedy bar or a music venue. There's an effect there as well. And also the suppliers who do the drinks for the bars. And so we've been talking to all the kind of stakeholders, they're called in English, it's a horrible word, to try and see where the problem is. And it's clear that for us, it's the difference between what a socially distanced audience brings to a venue and a 60-70% audience. So our plan is to lobby our government to say, look, you've given quite a lot of money to the arts as emergency bailouts. It hasn't been spent yet. And the things you thought you'd spend it on, because they thought they were going to give all these emergency grants, it's actually been about a third of the people they thought would apply into the big organizations. So I think there's money available to match ticket sales at the box office, which would mean that you take a 30% income and make it 60%. And at that point, venues will be able to function, freelancers will start getting paid again, and the value, the supply chain, the cultural supply chain, if you like, will get a kickstart. But I know that takes us to kind of maybe the other side of this, or however long that money runs for. That's a bridging strategy to get us to somewhere else. But I think a lot of the conversations we've had with people in the industry, artists and managers, and people who audiences, and young people, feel that it doesn't do us any good to get back to where we were in March. We can do better than that. We need to try and design a fairer, more open, more diverse, more accessible art scene. Not just in the UK, but I think we maybe are a little bit behind some other places in the world in that thinking. But in some ways, we're way ahead. There's some really exciting ideas and some really exciting people coming up with those with plans for the future. So where it's left me thinking, which is what we were talking about earlier, was the problem that we face is when we take our art from the real world and put it online, it's at the minute loses its value. And that I think it's fair to say, rightly or wrongly, that the classical music industry has treated the internet as an advertising tool rather than a marketplace. There are notable exceptions, and there are some, thinking of things like the Digital Concert Hall and things of Medici and Arte and all those other things that are definitely commercial models. But I think the idea is that you use the internet to make people come to see your show or your concert, rather than create content for a screen, which is what cinema. So if you imagine what cinema has done for theatre, we need to do that for the performing arts. We need to take our art onto the digital platform, but keep its value as its driving force. I'm talking a lot. I'll carry on.
Please.
So I think there's an opportunity as well to do that, to create a structure that is fairer for everyone involved, for the artists, for the audience, for the investors. So my idea is simple, but in a sense it's radical because it isn't how we do things at the minute, which is that when you fundraise for a piece of work, you get your audience to buy the tickets in advance, you get investors to pay for it in advance, so that when you make the work, it's paid for. There's no overheads anymore. And then when it exists online, it generates an income over time, and that percentage of that income is paid to the people who invested in it forever. The artists get a royalty forever, as do the people. If you bought a £40 ticket or a €50 ticket to see an opera, you're also investing in the success of that opera. And if it exists online for 20 years and generates money all that time, you have a little bit of that. You can reinvest and put more and make more art and more online content. So that's the sort of, and you design the system so that it's international, but also so that it has at its core these ideas of inclusion, community, diversity, access. It's not just privileged, elitist kind of work. And it's open for all art forms, for film, for theatre, for opera, for rap music, for whatever, anything you can think of. If you can make a good pitch, and we've got a massive fund to fund it because people want it, then you can make it. And the great thing about that idea is that you would get your audience would become your marketing sort of force, and it would be in their interest for the work to succeed, because they have a sort of not only an artistic stake in it, but a financial one. So that's what I think we might have to do.
Sounds like a great idea. Do you undertake any steps to realize that?
Well, it's I think the first thing that we have to, that I'm trying to do at the minute is preserve this live space, because without artists and companies being able to make the work, then there will be no work to put online. So I think, I think the second thing could fund real live things, and I think in fact it still would be the driving force for live performance. There's still something special about being in a room. So I'm talking to lots of people at the minute and trying to create a business model and work out, because there'd be a lot of legal things, and also maybe some of the people involved in the sector already, the big companies, would think, actually this is not what we want. We like it how it is. So there may be some pushback, of course. But I think we're facing a time now where people's behavior can change very, very quickly, and we've seen that more recently, in the age of the internet and the way that we all connect. If an idea is seen as a good one and it sort of catches people's excitement, then I think you really can have positive change quite quickly. So we're going to hope. So if anyone out there wants to give us lots of money to do it, then, get in touch.
Great. And we would appreciate if you like this video, subscribe to our channel and comment. Yeah. And see you next time. Thank you very much, Andy Staples.
You're welcome. Thank you.